Now that we have our tires mounted, we're going to install a servo into the 22 5.0 DC roller. I have a Spectrum S6245 servo here, and I have our bag A, which has the servo installation hardware, and we have our buggy here. I'm going to set that off to the side. I'm going to go ahead and cut this bag A open, and then we want to grab bag A1, which is what we're going to use to set the rest aside. Go ahead and cut this bag open. Obviously, if you're using a hobby knife, make sure to be careful. Don't want to cut yourself. Always cut away. Alright, so with the Spectrum servo, this is a 23 tooth spline, and we're going to use the 1-dot servo horn. There's a chart in the manual that explains what servo goes with what servo horn. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on the servo spline of the servo here, and I'm going to rotate it all the way to this direction. And basically the servo should be straight up and down when it's in the center of its stroke. So you can see here that it basically rotates from over here to over here. So the center would actually be about here. So I'm going to put that right about there. I'm using a flat blade. Just going to pop that off. And then now I'm going to put it back on. So there you go. You go all the way one way, all the way the other way, and it's a little tilted in towards the center, so that puts the center right about there, which is what we want. We're going to use some TLR lock here on this M3x6 screw. We're going metal into metal, so we want to make sure to use a drop of thread lock on there, otherwise it'll come loose. Go ahead and pitch your thumb here against the servo horn so you can make sure you get it nice and tight. And then we have our servo mounts and our servo spacers here. Refer to the manual again for the servo spacing. With the Spectrum servo, it's 2 millimeters worth of spacing. So I can put these spacers off to the side. And button head screw, washer, servo, spacer, and mount in that order. I'm just going to snug them up. I'm not going to tighten them down yet. So screw, washer, servo. So you have a cord cable there. Spacer, mount. And what we want is for these mounts to be flush with the bottom of the servo. So you can kind of look here on the bottom, put your wrench across there and make sure that they're sitting flush. And then holding them, tighten them down so that they're not moving as you're tightening. Alright, now we need the ball stud. And this also uses the 2mm wrench, and the ball stud goes towards the front of the servo horn, not towards the back. Alright, so now we have our servo assembly here. Let's grab some needle nose pliers and we'll grab the roller. And what we're going to do is we're going to get the servo link up next to the ball stud and use some needle nose pliers to pop that on. Okay, so we got that popped on there. And then now we'll go ahead and line the servo mount up with the holes in the chassis. Use our M3 by 10 millimeter flathead screws here to go through the bottom of the chassis. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get one started, a couple threads here, and then I'll get the other one lined up and started. Screw them in. Alright. So there, now we have our Spectrum S6245 servo installed into the 22 5.0 DC roller.